basis? So let's say pre-COVID, what were you doing week to week?
Yeah, right now I am in preparation for a marathon I have in October, so that'll be the Chicago Marathon. I do like the marathon like every other year. It helps kind of keep my weight down for rock climbing,
Yeah,
things like that. Um, getting ready for the rock climbing season was in process, kind of pre-COVID as well.
yeah,
Unfortunately, it looks like we're gonna miss most of like the really good part of the rock climbing season, which is like right now.
right.
Um, let's see. I would say that the staples of when I exercise and things like that, the staples are kettlebell work, and something that I do like kettlebell work for me is just good, well-rounded stuff. It's I don't know. I just find it really useful. I
Yeah,
don't do a lot of isolation training, so I really like the kettlebell stuff. And then I
right.
usually have one endeavor that I'm currently working on, whether it's the marathon or um, my wife and I, we took a trip to Seattle for a
Yeah,
rock climbing trip, and I was doing a lot of training for that.
right.
We did a hike where we hiked 7,000 vertical feet in a day,
Wow.
and with our packs on and gear and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was kind of what we were training for at the time.
Sweet. What are the best places in the US to like rock climb? What best
Oh
states, I guess,
yeah,
maybe?
that's a really good question. It certainly depends on the type of climbing that you do. I would definitely say the Pacific Northwest, and around Las Vegas area. Those are probably my favorites. On the
Yeah.
East Coast, Chattanooga, Tennessee is probably the my favorite place.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean,
Do you have a
there's
bucket list
really
of
good
like
climbing.
places you want to hit up and climbs you want to do?
Um, Not really. Like I like rock climbing, but I am definitely in the middle of that bell curve when it comes to rock climbing. So like,
Yeah.
anywhere I go is gonna have stuff that is plenty challenging. So I don't have
Right.
any like, ooh, I gotta climb
Yeah, yeah.
Everest or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So what keeps you motivated in terms of climbing, lifting, doing kettlebell work, doing all those things? Like, what motivates you? Why do you pursue that? Why do you want to be a movement generalist?
Sure. I think a lot of it comes down to, obviously in the profession that I've chosen,
Yeah.
I see what the penalty is for not choosing to prioritize your movement, right?
Right.
There's a lot of that. I think a lot of it is I do a lot of movement for fun and not just because I'm supposed to. So rock climbing is a great example of that.
Yeah.
I'm an assistant wrestling coach, so like I don't do that for the money. That's just something that I enjoy
Right.
doing.
Doing.
So yeah, like I just like to find joy in being able to move and exercise. So
Right. Keeping it fun. That makes sense.
yeah.
And that should be everyone's goal. Everyone's goal should be to kind of enjoy that creative aspect and enjoy playing. If they don't, then it becomes work. Then it becomes like a chore, right?
Right, right.
So what's your biggest obstacle in getting people to move, getting patients to move?
Yeah, that is the million-dollar question. I mean, if it's tough. I think that the biggest obstacle really is getting people to really prioritize their movement. It's not a time thing. I always kind of tell patients like, if you were given $1 million to be able to do like your home exercises or exercise regularly, right? Of course you could do it, right? Because you would prioritize it differently.
Right,
So, and that's an obstacle for me to move too. There are times in my life for sure where I'm not prioritizing, exercise or movement like I should.
right.
So I think there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of fear avoidance, and that gets into the way of people moving.
Yeah,
Especially with patients with like, let's say, their doctor tells them they have knee arthritis, and that it's going to be there forever, and they start, compromising. I'm not going to take the stairs because that bothers my knee, and then and then they're not taking stairs ever, and then they start to say, well, I can't do all that walking. It's going to bother my knee, right? And
yeah,
then without the positive reinforcement of them being able to do it, right? If they're never like testing it or addressing it, then they just keep going down that compensation train into now your activities went from this big to this big
Right.
because you've just pigeonholed yourself into what you think you can and can't do. And we know
Right.
that like hurt doesn't equal harm, right? I mean, you can exist on a pretty high level and function relatively well, even if there's some pain present, you know. So people just need to just get out there and address their issues.
Yeah. And testing their capabilities is key. I think a lot of people do kind of hinder away from testing their capabilities just because someone told them they can't do anything. So that means it kind of starts to sit in their head like, oh, I have this condition, I won't be able to do that. They already kind
Right.
of move back. And we know how powerful the mind is. You know, you can
Sure.
persuade yourself to lift a lot of weight. You can persuade yourself to climb a certain boulder, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you're mentally not there, you're not going to be ready, and your body's definitely going to fail. You're preparing
Totally.
yourself
Yeah.
to fail, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No, you know, I would just encourage people to like, you know, if you have something going on and you're already making compromises in what you are not, you know, what you've decided to not do because of your pain or function or whatever, you know, there are ways of reversing the 99% of you know, there's ways of improving things. You don't have to compromise. You can find ways to address it. And
Right.
you know, I think finding the appropriate practitioner that will work with you and coach you in the right way and not just say here's you know, here's some kind of palliative treatment, whether it's just an adjustment or just a cortisone shot or whatever, right? Like,
Right.
you know, we got to dig down deeper to allow you to move, and there are very few musculoskeletal issues that are going to lead to like you not being able to do XYZ forever or some modified version of it, right? So
Right.
there's ways of figuring out. You just got to find the right person for it.
Right. I agree. All right. So let's